Coach's Corner is your source. Baseball, football, soccer, and hoops. The Coach's Corner has the scoop. It's the Coach's Corner with Andy.
Covering Tri-State sports, it's the Coach's Corner with Andy on 92.1 The GOAT.
It's the Coach's Corner.
All right, so I got Grant Smith here with me today. Thanks for joining me today, Grant. So you and I were just talking before we came on here. We're not huge college football experts, right? I probably know more about the NFL than I do college, but I do enjoy watching college football. You were stating this year is actually the first year you've started actually following it and paying more attention to it. And how can you not with the Heisman race?
Right.
The Heisman race is crazy right now. The whole college football scene is kind of upside down in some places, and it's interesting again. Not that it wasn't before, but it's more interesting now. And we're going to actually go over the ballot currently right now for the Heisman Trophy. Grant and I are. We're going to kind of break down every player and give our opinions and go from there. So first of all, since you're now following college football, do you have a favorite team to watch?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Maryland, and Maryland's football team's been trash for a long time. So,
They just gave
really
Oregon a run for their
cheer for.
They just gave Oregon a run for their money the other night. I mean, yeah, I'm actually gonna. So Dylan Gabriel is the quarterback at Oregon, and he kind of struggled against Maryland. So we'll talk about that a little bit when we get up to it.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something earlier to me today about Penn State. Go ahead and say your thoughts on Penn State because I found it hilarious.
Yeah, no, a lot of people. I've lived in PA for like 10 years now, and everybody's like, you got to get on the Penn State bandwagon, and I just can't do it. I love Penn State. I've been up to main campus to compete for track and field, and the facilities are crazy, and they only talk about football up there.
Yeah.
But I just can't get on the bandwagon because I feel like Penn State is the Dallas Cowboys of the college realm. They're amazing. They have probably one of the greatest fan followings in the entire country. Probably one of the hardest stadiums to play in, but they have these high expectations that always fall short every single year. And I really feel like this year is going to be the same. It's going to be no different. They're going to lose first round in the playoffs if they make the college football playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. The thing with Penn State, too, is obviously with the Dallas Cowboys, it's ongoing drama, continuous. There's always something that's making the headlines at the Cowboys. I think right now the hot topic for the Cowboys is whether Jerry Jones is going to put curtains up in the stadium. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I heard that he said that it's a competitive edge, which I feel like definitely could be. I mean, he made the stadium to ultimately be an edge for the team and whatnot. Right. But he even said about the old offensive coordinator who I forget his name, but he said that he called plays based on that end of the field during that time, so that way he didn't have the sun and the glare affect his receivers and his players. So
there's definitely a strategy to it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
And obviously other things with the Cowboys, Zeke Elliott not, being Zeke Elliott, having problems on and off the field. They didn't address the running back situation. Now, I wouldn't say Penn State currently has that kind of drama surrounding them at the moment.
Right.
If obviously everybody recalls the, Joe Paterno stuff that happened. I would say that was pretty dramatic, but, it kind of came and went. But I feel like with the Cowboys, it's always there. It's never gone. But who knows? Maybe Penn State will be like that one day. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel it was funny because one of the athletes that I coached at Hagerstown Community College when I was coaching there for track, his dad was on the national championship team, and he showed me the ring, which was crazy big.
Yeah,
and I feel like they're still riding that last championship the same way the Cowboys are riding their last championship in the 90s, and it's like, come on, man, you got to let it go.
Yeah, I hear you. Now we're going to get into this Heisman ballot so far as it is right now. These are in no particular order, and it's according to ESPN. So the first player coming up, I think this guy, I would see him as one of the front runners for the Heisman Trophy, but I also believe another on this list is a front runner as well, which we'll touch on later. But Ashton Jeanty, the running back at Boise State, I mean, the dude can do it all. Recently, when they played Nevada, he had his fourth 200-yard game of the season, He also had his 5th time this year that he scored 3 rushing touchdowns in the game.
Yeah.
3. Now, granted, Boise State, every college football team's competition, they're going to be playing, lesser teams here and there. No college football organization is going to play, a top 20 team every week. It's not just not how it works.
Right.
But still, 3 touchdowns and 200 yards 4 times and 5 times. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy numbers. Those are like video game numbers.
Right,
like
exactly.
The new NCAA game that just came out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love that game, by the way. It's awesome. But Jante's going to pass the 2,000-yard mark at least by week 13. I think we're in it's week 12 right now, because I think college football is 1 week ahead of the NFL. He has a shot at becoming the 6th player in the NCAA history with 30-plus rushing touchdowns in a season. That's ridiculous. He's high up on the Heisman Trophy picks. His stock is up, and it's going to rise because, like we said, he can do it all. And he's only a junior.
Which is crazy. I think the thing that, for me, is yards after contact for him. I feel like every highlight, he's, breaking 2, 3, 4, 5 tackles.
Yeah, it's a beast.
And, just absorbing hits and still just running down the sideline. And he's not a small guy by any means either. So, I mean, for him to be as big as he is, I feel like he's running away from some of those DBs and those corners, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just making them look silly, in my mind.
He's got that big guy Derrick Henry speed.
Yes.
You don't think he's fast because he's so big, but
until
when you
he's
actually
an open field.
Right? It's an open field, or they clock him, and you're like, crap.
Yeah.
That's fast.
Hits like 22 miles an hour in pads.
Right. It's also cool to see, a running back so high on the list, because I feel like the Heisman Trophy is a quarterback's usually to win.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks are the leader of the team 9 times out of 10. Quarterbacks get all that responsibility on their shoulders, which can hurt you and help you in the Heisman race. And the next player on the list here is actually a quarterback. He's on the Oregon Ducks, ranked number 1 right now. A senior, Dylan Gabriel. He's got 2,848 yards passing on the season so far, 74% completion rate, 22 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He's also rushed for 148 yards on the season as well. Now, he did just come off a passing performance, which probably is worst of the season, against Maryland.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier. He only threw for 183 yards on 34 attempts, which is kind of unheard of for the Ducks. He still put the ball in the end zone 3 times. That's the seventh time this year that he's done that. He's not really having that historic quarterback season like your other quarterback candidates probably are.
Right.
But I feel like with your team at number 1, they're undefeated. You're keeping them in that position. That bodes well for you in the Heisman race. And I feel like that's why his Heisman, he's so ranked so high in the Heisman race right now. But his stock currently, according to ESPN, it's down. And it's coming because he came off such a bad game, which another quarterback on another team would be a good game.
Yeah, his completion percentage is crazy. Like,
I mean, high.
It's funny. I always joke I never was studious in school, but
same.
Over 80% completion is really unheard of. So if I had to be honest, like, you're thinking 70, 75 good. He's over almost at 85% completion. So,
right.
I mean, his receivers are doing their job, which is great, which is half the battle. They got to catch the ball in order to make his stats look good.
Right, exactly.
That definitely helps.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see where he lands overall, because he's on such a great team, and I feel like a lot of the votes go towards those greater teams, those number 1s, those number 2s. I mean, look at Jaden Daniels last year and LSU. LSU was ranked like at least top 5 when he won, I think. And Jaden Daniels was lower on the list for possible winners than others. I think obviously Caleb Williams was one of those candidates. I believe I can't think of the other name. There's another quarterback. Or no, excuse me, not running back. The Michigan running back. What was his name? Blake Corum. He was on the list.
Yeah, he's on the Chargers now.
Yeah, and he was a monster. But Daniels got the nod because we can see why now. It's shoving in the NFL. But
for sure, I know you're happy with that.
Oh, very happy. Well, I'm a little nervous for tonight. It's going to be a tough game.
True.
Yeah.
I think the crazy thing is I feel like the Heisman Trophy 9 times out of 10 goes to one of the people who are on the top tier teams.
Yeah.
I feel like there are a lot of athletes out there that do compete well and they do play well and their stats will speak for them, but they're not in Heisman Trophy talks because their team isn't that great. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
like if Boise State was, say, what's Boise State's record? I think they have like 2 losses on the season, but they're ranked. Say they're not ranked and they still have JT running the ball and he's doing what he's doing.
I don't think he's in the conversation at all.
He probably wouldn't. Yeah, right. He probably wouldn't even be in the conversation. But because they are that record because of his production. So I mean, he's got. If you look back at the most recent game where he achieved all those feats, his quarterback was 9 of 20 with an interception. Didn't even throw a touchdown. Like he's getting all the scoring production for the Broncos, and that's why he's in the mention because he's carrying his team. So
pretty much.
The next guy on the list, I wouldn't really say this guy carries his team, but he's a big component of the team. And he's the only two-way player in this Heisman conversation. It's Travis Hunter. I'm sure you've heard the name. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Colorado Buffaloes. Shedeur Sanders gets a lot of the spotlight over there at Colorado because number 1, he's Deion's son. Number 2, he's the quarterback. Number 3, like we said earlier, the quarterback gets all those responsibilities, gets all the pressure on their shoulders. But Travis Hunter, I mean, not only is he standing out at wide receiver, he's got 9 touchdowns this season, 856 yards, 12.4 yards per reception, which is crazy too. But on defense, as a cornerback, he's rated top 20, in the nation in run defense and pass defense. Like the man is literally doing it all, literally everything. I'm really interested to see if I don't know if they allow it in the NFL to play a two-way player, but maybe he'll be the first two-way player in the NFL.
I think that'd be cool to see. I feel like as far as the Heisman race is concerned, I feel like he affects. You can tell when he's on the field and when he's off the field, and he affects both sides of the ball, no matter what. Yeah. So like, just with that alone, I feel like that alone should give him the Heisman. Like, he's the only player to ever do that, and I could see if he was dominant on the offense, but okay on the defense. But he's equally as dominant on the offense as he is on the defense. And, last year it showed when he got injured, it wasn't the same team. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel like that right there alone should be a shoo-in for the Heisman, if you ask me.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare to see any position outside of the offense to win a Heisman. You remember when Charles Woodson did it? He won the Heisman as a defensive back. Yeah. And I think he was maybe one of the first to win it as a defense. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But I mean, Travis Hunter obviously would be the first two-way player. Is anybody else even a two-way player in college that we know of? I can't even think of any. No,
because he's the only one that ever, the commentators ever talk about being a two-way player and what he does. I mean, and I think what's crazy too is the fact that he plays over almost 100 snaps every game. Yeah. And you think between 100 snaps on the game speed, and then you have you've got the amount of practices they have and all that stuff. Like, the fact that his body's able to withstand all of the beating that he takes on a day-to-day basis is insane. I hope he can keep it up. I don't think in the NFL he'll be able to do that because, I don't see him tackling DK Metcalf and then going on and playing wide receiver and getting hit by some of those middle linebackers over the middle. Yeah, I don't see him coming back on the field on defense.
Yeah, well, then that brings you up to the next question. If he does declare for the draft, what position does he declare at? Right. I mean, we've heard of quarterbacks switching to wide receiver, quarterbacks switching to defensive backs, running backs that used to be quarterbacks, but we've never heard of a two-way player and what he chooses to play. So it'll be interesting to see. He's my pick for the Heisman. I think that would be cool, just for the fact that he's a two-way player and he's he's good on both ends of I should say excellent on both ends of the ball. I think if Colorado wins out for the rest of the season, they have 2 or 3 games left. his stock will go up even higher. And I think it'd be between Janty and Hunter. I think.
Yeah. Do you think the Buffaloes make the playoffs though? You think they make the college football playoffs this year?
I don't know. I'm up in the air on it. It's tough. College football has so many aspects to it, and so many rankings, and you have to do this, and you have to impress this person, and
that's the one thing I don't like about college football.
Yeah,
it should be straight up football, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's cool and everything to an extent. It's different. It's something a lot of people like, but it's not the same in the NFL. So why do it in college? I don't know. Not my decision. I'm not on the BCS or whatever decides. But coming up, the next person up here, another quarterback, Cam Ward, Miami Hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Ward came into week 11 as the highest Heisman Trophy odds of winning.
Really?
But obviously the Hurricanes fell to Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
In a kind of a shocker. Now Ward did still throw for 348 yards. And he had 3 touchdowns on the game as well. But like we said earlier, the quarterback gets all the responsibility on the field. The quarterback has all that pressure. They take they take the blame a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that kind of hurt him. His Heisman stock's down, still in the race, but there's a lot of the other quarterbacks ranked above him have a better case, I believe, right now.
Yeah, I think the quarterback position is crazy hard. I mean, they run the offense. They have you heard some of those play calls that you get from offensive coordinators? Like, you ever watch Peyton Manning and Eli on their ESPN show?
Yeah.
And they go over these play calls.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be able to remember half.
I know.
Of what they did and what they said. Be able to repeat it. I messed up my vows when I got married. Let alone. Coming back and relaying that to my offense. And then you think college, they throw in hand signs and all that stuff. So
and they hold up the posters on the sidelines and stuff. And
so that right there that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Cam Ward was one of those quarterbacks. I feel like he was like that standard Heisman Trophy winner. Like, it's what you expect to see. Everybody expected him to come out of this, high in the Heisman ranking. I mean, the dude's almost at 3,500 passing yards on the season, 32 touchdowns to 6 interceptions.
Those are good numbers.
That's NFL numbers right there. Like, he's. I mean, granted, they are in the ACC, but I mean, the ACC is not a slouch division. There are some teams they'll come across. Like we said, every team has that. But when you're ranked higher like that, I think Miami was 4th or 5th before they got beat in week 11. I think they fell down to like in the 20s, so they dropped a lot, and that affects the Heisman race. Like, there's so many factors that go into it. Like we said with the NCAA football game earlier, you can create a player, you can make that player great, and you could have like a 500-yard rushing game and 5 touchdowns. But if your team loses, like, you're not even in the talk of the Heisman.
Nope.
And if you're a freshman or you're a sophomore, your chances are less.
Yeah.
Like, it has a lot of factors, and it's kind of it can give you a headache if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, a lot of those end of the year awards are more of a popularity vote. Anyway. Yep. I've had, in my experience with playing collegiate sports and stuff like that, I was, I've had a couple of awards that I probably should have gotten that I didn't get because of, the popularity of the athlete with the coaches and the school and stuff like that. So, it is what it is. I mean, that's the same thing with the NFL and the MVP race and all of that stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a popularity vote.
Well, and speaking of that, not to get off the college football topic, but I've heard a lot of talk with Lamar Jackson. People think that if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he shouldn't win the MVP again.
I don't think he should. That should even be a thing anyway. That's like the people saying how if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, should he be a Hall of Famer?
Right. Yeah.
What
No,
does
I
the
agree.
Super Bowl have to do with you? Now, granted, it definitely, boom, you win a Super Bowl, bang, you should 100% be in the Hall of Fame talks.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have to win a Super Bowl to be a quote unquote Hall of Famer.
Right.
It should be based on how you perform throughout your career
Mm-hmm.
and the accolades that you more or less stack up.
Yeah.
You know, the accomplishments and things like that. I think that should be the only thing that should be taken into account, really, as far as Hall of Fame talks.
I think what another thing is, he's already won Lamar's already got 2 MVPs, I think.
Yep,
Is that right?
unanimous in 2018 and then last year.
Yeah. So I think what most people are saying when they say, well, he needs to win the Super Bowl to get the MVP this time is you've already won 2 without winning a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why haven't you got a Super Bowl yet if you're a 2-time MVP?
Yeah,
I think is a better way of stating it, but that's still not fair.
Yeah, I mean, well, football is one of the I feel like football is one of the hardest sports to play because your success doesn't just rely on you. You've got 10 other guys on the field with you, and you have offense, defense, kickoff, kick return, punt return, you name it. There's so many different aspects of the game that can go wrong, that can alter the momentum that you have. You know, I mean, Lamar goes out there and his defense is letting up so many points, but Lamar's having to carry literally the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Because we know that whenever Lamar's on the team or on the field, I mean, you know that they're scoring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
basically,
pretty
some
much
aspect.
If you stop the Ravens, I feel like for example, we're playing the Steelers this Sunday. Mm-hmm. God forbid the Steelers actually get us to have 1 or 2 more 4-and-outs than we normally get. I think the Steelers win the game.
Yeah,
because they keep Lamar off the field.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Lamar's on the field; he's lethal. You know, the Ravens are bound to. They have a high chance and a high probability of winning. Keep him off the field, we probably are going to lose.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But that person, like the Heisman, they should be able to change the game, no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like it should be. Like, who had the most impact on the season across the board on their team? You know, and like you said, Genty, if Boise State doesn't continue to rise in the ranks, you know, he probably won't get it. He had one heck of a season.
Yeah.
But oh well, it doesn't matter.
Yep. There's another player on this list at number 5, which I feel is in kind of the same boat. As you know, Indiana's having a really good season, best in their program history. They're 10-0. Curtis Rourke, the quarterback for them. Mm-hmm. He's in the running for the Heisman at number 5. He's got the least odds to win the Heisman as of right now. Right. This is kind of one of those picks, like you talked about. Like, if your team, you know, they're ranked number 5 right now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 4, somewhere around there.
They're definitely in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah. But you know, what's it going to take to get Rourke in more of a consideration for a Heisman? I mean, the dude's, you know, almost at 2,500 or just above 2,400 yards passing as well. He's got a 72% completion rate. He's got 21 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. He's rushed twice, and he's got his team at 10-0 in the Big 12, I believe is what it is. Big 10 or Big 12. All right,
I think Big 12, isn't it?
Big 12. Yeah, you're right. So, like, in Indiana, nobody expected the Hoosiers to be a top 5 team this year in football. I don't think, at least.
That's more of a basketball school than anything.
Right, exactly. But, you know, he's changing the game for the football program. So maybe that gets him in, you know, more talks for the Heisman. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But
I got to give it to that coach, though. That was the JMU coach, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
What he did for that school at JMU kind of just turned everything around was absolutely awesome. Yeah. And I ain't gonna lie, I was really mad at the fact that he left JMU because, like, man, you changed that program around and then you're gonna just wipe that out from underneath those kids and move here. Now, granted, transfer portal helps out. You know, he's not going to pick up and move and leave everybody at JMU. Like, he probably took his key guys, and went to Indiana, but I think it's a testament to his coaching ability and his way to rally the troops. Honestly, I think.
Yeah, I kind of see Rourke as a one of those guys. Like if he wins the Heisman, you're kind of like, what? I feel like there was more deserving people that should have won that award, but at the same time, you'd be like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, he kind of deserves it. So it's like because of what he's doing and like what that team's doing. But it's gonna be fun. I have found my notes here. They're Big Ten. They're not Big 12.
Big Ten. That would be exciting to see as well. To see him possibly get it. And if he were to get it, that would make me feel better about the Heisman votes.
Right, exactly.
Like, it would tell me, like, okay, you know what? It's not just a popularity vote. Like, he actually was voted because he helped change an entire program, a team that was terrible, more or less, and now they're within the top 5 in the entire country. That's crazy.
They play Ohio State coming up this week.
It's going to be a big test for them for sure.
Yeah, Ohio State's 2, I think, ranked 2.
Mm-hmm.
They just beat the Dallas Cowboys of college.
Yeah. I knew that was going to happen. And look, they put up 10 points, 15, 20 points, maybe something like that.
Something like that. Yeah,
that's exactly what the Cowboys did against the last team they played.
If that
got smoked.
Yeah,
at home.
But yeah, it would be cool to see. It's an interesting race. The Heisman's always fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I feel like this year it's a little different. You got some people in there that are from different teams that are making a push, becoming more recognizable, becoming higher in the ranks. So my vote's either for Janty or Hunter. I think those are your 2 options if you're making the logical move.
I would like both of them. I would like to have both be between both of those guys. Those guys are definitely game changers.
Yeah,
and you can rally around both of those guys to ultimately get your team to a win, which is great.
Yeah, I would like to see Rourke too, just because I feel like he's kind of the Cinderella vote.
Got to always vote for the underdog.
I know, right?
Have to.
Man, to be a fly on the wall in the room when they're making the decision for the Heisman winner, that would be so cool. That would be something cool to see.
Yep.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out. We got a few games left in college football, and we'll see who comes out on top winner. Thanks for hanging out today, Grant. Thanks for chatting. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
If you'd like to be featured on the Coach's Corner with Andy, email coach at 921thegoat.com.